And I want to welcome the opportunity to speak on this, however short our time is. I think the Minister in her speech acknowledged that this was a vital service, and she pointed out that it's going now since 1967, which is 56 years. And during that time, it has been proven to be a valuable service, but completely limited and exclusionary. The Ombudsman for Children, in his 2022 submission to the review, he highlighted a lack of transparency in how distances are calculated. And as we know, issues arise every single year, and this year is no exception, which is extremely stressful for children and for parents. In 2022, again, the Ombudsman said the negative impact on children of delayed decision-making regarding children's access to supports and services. For this reason, decisions affecting a child's access to transport should be timely, so decisions should be timely and made in the shortest possible time, etc., so that there's no barrier. Now, I listened carefully to the Minister's speech, and I actually went back and reread it, and the review started back in 21, I beg your pardon. That was after we declared, 2 years after we declared a climate emergency and a biodiversity emergency, and there is no mention of climate change or the possibilities of expanding the school transport to comply with their obligations under climate change legislation. Minister, I find that extremely worrying. I welcome the positive changes that you've made over the last number of years, but it's tinkering at the system. And 56 years later, we deserve a proper review that should be published as soon as possible. We've seen that it started back in 21, over 2.5 years ago. And we need a recognition that departments are working together in relation to our climate change obligation. And so we look at this, and the Minister tells us how many children are included and so on. I welcome all those figures. However, she doesn't deal with what's been mentioned by different TDs, drivers over 70. She doesn't deal with the amount of buses that I know are sitting in Galway down near the docks, owned by Bus Éireann, and sitting there. I've no idea what the potential is for the use of those buses. And the local problems that we all have, some of those have been resolved. However, if we're serious about climate change, surely we should look at the wonderful, theoretically, that the school transport has been, notwithstanding the problems, and look at the demand, because the demand for a school bus service has actually illustrated that people do not want to use their cars. They want a bus transport service to schools. Now, if you look at Galway City and you look at the peak time traffic, most of it is caused by parents bringing their children to school. I myself have been through that. We tried to get concessionary tickets in the past. Sometimes we were successful, sometimes we weren't. But I was most upset that I was putting a car on the road, or my husband, to bring children to school about 2 miles away from our house, because it simply wasn't safe to let them go on bicycles. So what I'm appealing to you, for what it's worth, in the few seconds I've left, is to realise the potential of free transport for the country in terms of climate change obligations. We have no choice but to look at it. So when we talk about the cost of it, we never talk about the cost of not doing it.